Hello. This is week two, up, the wrap up for week two. And this week we we learned a couple of different things. We talked about the multidisciplinary approach to studying sustainability. And really, the discussion then broke down into, will the change be sudden or gradual? And what is business's role in that change? Will it be contributing to a more gradual approach, or will it be contributing to a faster approach? So we saw some of the testimony by Anderson, for example, seemed to suggest that business had a leadership role rather than just simply following along, meeting the requirements, etc. And that was a large part of our discussion in the first DQ for that week. There was another question too, and that is whether the diversity of opinion helped to bring solutions, make solutions possible, or discuss the solutions more effectively, or whether that diversity of opinion in some cases might actually block a consensus. The notion of a fundamentalist Christian perhaps not wanting to do anything simply because he saw it as God's will, whatever happened, was given as an example. The other question that we sort of wrestled with during this time was, how do we reach a critical mass to affect change? And again, here there was some discussion about the role of education, the fact that people were becoming more and more aware of it. And the question was raised, of course, what is the role of government in that? What is the role of individuals in pushing forward that consensus? But I think that through that discussion, we did come to a realization that government was involved, individuals were involved, businesses were involved, and each one of those contributed to the advancement of this discussion and this new insight, if you will, this new paradigm that we are trying to propagate in order to push for more sustainable practices. Very interesting, at the very end of it, Claire also raised the question of the role of faith in sustainability, which is one we didn't really follow up on that, but it's an interesting question, because to some degree, if you read, for instance, the piece about the Hopis, it positioned their relationship to sustainability very much on a spiritual level. So there's something to be said there for the fact that sustainability tries to have a moral and ethical core, and it does fit into a spiritual construct, if you will. And that spirituality may help to inform how we move forward with sustainable actions. Now, the second DQ really had to do with building a PowerPoint presentation, and there was a lot of back and forth there. And one of the issues that I kind of raised was that there maybe was too much emphasis on the graphics, and there was too much verbiage on the pages, which led to another interesting discussion, and that is, what was the purpose of this PowerPoint? Was it simply there to accompany a verbal presentation, in other words, the classic use of a PowerPoint, or was it for other purposes, and there being several other purposes for which PowerPoints are used? One of those would be as a leave behind. Another one would be a digital flyer for a specific group. In other words, let's say you have a specific user group for a particular product. You can create a PowerPoint that speaks to their particular needs, put it up on the website, and when they have questions, they can go to that particular place, pull down that PowerPoint, and they'll have an explanation. So it is a tool for presenting short explanations that can be stored and can be shared digitally. And lastly, is it a digital artifact for download? Maybe we have it as an instruction for a process. Maybe we have it as an explanation for something. Again, what is the purpose? Is it a digital download? Is it a physical leave behind? Is it something you take to a trade show that you can show to people who are coming by your booth? All of those are legitimate uses of PowerPoint, and they're all different in the way that they deal with the information that's presented. In this case, we were looking at a spoken presentation, and so we were probably looking for less verbiage and for kind of a cleaner look is what I was getting at. So one of the issues really was understanding the audience. And there was, we went back and forth on that, and it was clear that some people's conception of what the audience was different than what I had been thinking. So, and that's fine, as long as you were consistent to meeting the needs of the audience that you had in mind. There was also some issues with understanding the group assignment. We went back and forth and around trying to figure out, was it week 3 that we needed to be preparing for, or was it week 4, the group presentation? Well, it turns out it was week 4, and we got that sorted out. Some information went back to the course designers to make sure that in the future there's a better description right up front as to what that group project is about. Okay, that piece being done. Let's see, there were also some problems with uploading the paper, but I think that all got resolved. Another issue in this week that began to come out, and also I think is still with us in week 3, and that is, I, as the instructor, I'm trying to prod each and every one of you to move a little bit further, move out of your comfort zone, and to understand and be able to communicate sustainability in a more effective manner. And so I began to confront, I guess would be the strongest word, each of you in some fashion and say, hey, this is great, but take it up a notch. This is okay. You need to do more research on this because the lack of research really showed. And so in each case, I kind of prodded each of you a little bit. And in some cases, my fault, I probably may have been a little bit too harsh, a little bit too dramatic in my exposition, in my writing to you. Don't take it personally. It's not at all personal. I'm just trying to get each of you to see how you could improve the way that you are communicating, whether that's the physical PowerPoint, as in week 2, or talking about a paper that you're writing and how you're addressing the questions and whether you're addressing the audience properly. So I'm going to be pushing you a little bit. I'm going to try to make you uncomfortable at times because I do want you to go further. But it's not personal. And I will try to be diplomatic so that we don't lose the trust. I want you to be able to trust me. I don't want you to feel anxious about my responses. I'm going to be pesky. I'm going to poke at you. But don't take it personally, all right? And I think we'll have more on that next week as well, because I think some of the feedback on the papers falls into this category. So bear with me. I'm trying to be pesky on purpose. There's a reason to my madness. And please don't take it personally. If you have questions, if you're uncomfortable, send me an email and we can have an offline discussion. And I think I'm doing that with one student already. For others of you, that may also be important. You don't want to share the whole, the criticism, etc., back and forth with everybody. You can do so offline through the email function. So please use that if you feel uncomfortable. All right. And I think that's it for right now. I'm going to close this off, and then I'm going to do a piece on Epstein, so that we can have something to talk about next time. And oh, by the way, I thank you very much for being willing to have the discussion last night. I thought it went pretty well. So this next coming Wednesday, I will set up the chat function, see if we can make it work with chat. And what I may do is I may set up a Ron D phone call in the background. And if during that call we decide we want to do that, then we can do it. It'll be there as a backup. Okay. Talk to you later next week. Bye.